Hi everyone, before we start, a disclaimer, I'm very passionate about this topic, so I have a lot to say. I have timestamps in the description so you can skip ahead in the video based on topic, so let's get started. Almost a month ago, YouTube was littered with Black Friday haul videos, and I'm pretty sure there will soon be more videos about hauling for holiday parties. Just in the past year, someone I'm subscribed to has gotten 2.7 million views on her haul videos. I used to watch haul videos all the time, especially in high school, and honestly sometimes I still watch them for background noise, but these videos always made me feel some type of way. One, it could just be background noise. Two, it kind of made me feel inadequate, like my personal wardrobe was lacking or wasn't interesting enough, like it was boring. And three, it made me want to shop, or some combination of all of these things. Recently, Lex made a video about the fast fashion industry and its dangers, and Ingrid Nilsson made a video about why she almost entirely stopped shopping. I'm going to link these two videos down in the description because they were the inspiration for this video. So, the dangers of fast fashion. This isn't a direct attack on YouTubers because the problem isn't them personally, but we can all think more critically and conscientiously about our shopping and disposal of clothing. And some of these statistics are specifically American, but the ideology isn't just in America. For instance, the YouTuber I left nameless is not American. The mindset around clothing in America used to be that we would mend and tailor garments, we give them to somebody else, or use them as household rags. Today, we shop for fun, we shop for the latest trends, and we throw away old clothing. Americans generate enough textile waste to amount to 68 pounds per person annually. That is the weight of a small child. According to the EPA, America generated 15.1 million tons of textile waste in 2013, and 12.8 million tons of that was discarded into the landfill. And sometimes we're so worried solely on the landfill that we don't even think about the production process. Clothing production takes a lot of water, much of which is water that could be used for drinking water in developing areas. And as for pollution, the World Bank says that 20% of global water pollution is the product of textile processing. The textile industry is actually the second biggest water polluter worldwide, and they're behind the big oil industry. Water from the textile industry is rarely treated, so that means that untreated water is getting into streams, oceans, ponds, and other water sources, and it's changing the pH, oxygen concentration, and temperature. Furthermore, these chemicals can turn carcinogenic, and all these effects don't just affect marine life, it affects terrestrial beings and humans that depend on that water source. And water pollution doesn't stop after production. When you put your clothes in the laundry to wash them, they wear down and microfibers detach and enter waterways. Microfibers from organic materials can deteriorate naturally from light, water, or organisms, but synthetic fibers like polyester or acrylic cannot deteriorate. When these fibers build up in the water, they're then digested by marine life. Then think about labor. Factory and sweatshop workers are often trafficked, working low wages like 12 cents an hour, and or they're working long hours in hazardous conditions, getting respiratory syndromes and hearing problems with no sick days and no health care. There isn't international intervention or pressure on countries to stop these abusive practices, so they all continue. So what can the average person do to make their effect? I'm going to give you my personal tips on shopping, caring for your clothing, and clothing disposal. Starting off with shopping tips. The way to make the biggest impact is reducing your consumption. You've probably heard of reduce, reuse, recycle, and that's truly in order from the most important to the least important, or greatest impact to least impact. Now, I'm not going to tell you to stop shopping entirely. Most of the time, you need to wear clothing because no shirt, no shoes, no service, right? But there's a way to get your wardrobe needs while being conscientious, and here are some of my personal shopping rules. Number one, think of 3 outfits. Unless you're in a scenario where you have to build a new wardrobe, do not purchase an item if you cannot think of 3 outfits with that item in your existing wardrobe. I bought this shirt in high school from Forever 21 because it was cheap and my friends were shopping too. In the 4 years since, I found 1 outfit to wear it with and I didn't even like that outfit. On the other hand, I just recently bought this Rihanna from Bass and I can think of at least 20 outfits in my existing wardrobe with which I could wear it. Number 2, avoid trends. Do you remember the peplum phenomenon of the summer of 2014? Well, I haven't seen a peplum top since I wore one in May of 2015. And the cold shoulder trends, I don't know why you want holes in your sleeves, but in a year you might regret that lost warmth. Number 3, splurge on your staples. Your running shoes, your black pants, and your winter coat, anything you'll be wearing frequently need to be a quality. I understand that not everybody can buy a $200 coat that needs to be dry cleaned. Same. But in the long run, buying the cheapest item can cost you more. Here is a black cardigan from Old Navy, and here is one from Loft. The Old Navy cardigan isn't warm, it looks cheap, it's not that comfy, but I bought it because I needed a black cardigan and I was on a budget. I've worn it twice, maybe. And then the Loft cardigan is warm, it's soft, it looks nice, and best of all, it has pockets. When I was a hostess, I wore this Loft cardigan 3 times a week for months, and it held up. If I had worn the Old Navy cardigan that much, it wouldn't have worn out quickly, which means I would have spent more money than I expected by replacing it. Now, I'm certainly not asking you to go shopping at Gucci, but spending a little more on Loft or Ann Taylor clearance is definitely worth it. Number 4, if you can, avoid buying new clothing. If possible, go thrift shopping and buy secondhand. It eliminates the production of a new garment and saves you money. I know that not everyone can use this tip, including me, because the thrift shops around me are mostly old t-shirts, but in some areas, the clothing is better at thrift stores, and I'm currently wearing my grandma's shirt. Along the lines of not buying new clothing, you can also rent clothing. Rent the Runway can be expensive, but it can be a good option if you need a fancy item for one night. Also, see if a friend has an item or piece of clothing that you can use if you don't need something permanently. My best friend from high school wore this necklace for our high school graduation and didn't need to buy one herself. Number 5, try to buy organic material and sustainable fashion. This isn't in everybody's budget. Not even my doctor can afford to shop Everlane, but if you can, give it a shot. Number 6, rethink pleasure shopping. I'm not asking you to completely stop shopping for pressure, but think about it for a while. I felt guilty buying this Ruana, but I bought it because I've been looking for a black Ruana for over a year, and finding one that was reversible and on sale from a brand I trust to be quality made it worth it. Now let's move on to taking care of our clothing. To avoid excess microfibers and waterways and to make your clothing last longer, here are some tips on taking care of your clothing. Number 1, stains. Coming from a family of messy eaters, myself included, I know that stains will happen, but I know how to get rid of them, and it's better to get rid of a stain than to get rid of your garment. For on-the-go use, I use Shot wipes, and these have gotten out every single makeup stain, and we'll get this one out tonight. These are single-use and very wasteful, so at home, get the bottle of Shot spray, and the spray actually works better at eliminating certain stains. Period stains. They're devastating, I know. As soon as possible, rub dish soap into the stain under running water and use some Shot spray before throwing the garment in the wash. Number 2, washing. My washing machine has 4 settings: wash type, temperature, spin speed, and soil level. For all of my clothing, I use the delicate type, cold water, low spin, and low soil. If you have delicates, use mesh laundry bags. One of mine is pictured here, and you can probably pick some up at the Dollar Tree, which will be cheaper than getting them at Walmart or on Amazon. I use my bags for anything that's not cotton or denim, and it makes it easy when I'm separating for drying. Lastly, for washing, pick your detergents wisely and use a little fabric softener to maintain the shape of your clothing. So this means do not use Tide Pods. There are certain scenarios such as accessibility that make Tide Pods a viable option, but if you have someone who can help and this works in your life, get them to take some detergent from your larger container and put it in a smaller container that you can lift. Tide Pods and similar products don't allow you to pour your detergent amount based on the amount of clothing that you have in the wash, and using the same concentrated amount on all your clothing doesn't make sense, and this will wear down your garments over time. Number 3, drying. When you're drying your clothing, separate out more delicate items that should be hung, line dried, or laid flat. I put everything that doesn't go in the dryer in my mesh bags when I put them in the washer, so when it's time to move them from the washer to the dryer, it's easier to separate and move on to the drying stage. Okay. Number 4, steaming. Get a handheld steamer. This has been a lifesaver in the past 4 years of owning it, and I don't travel without it. Ironing a garment or throwing it in the dryer again can be a hassle, and it can actually wear down your item more than you want it to, and some fabrics aren't meant to be ironed or dried. I don't personally use them, but this came with some attachment such as creasing or attachments for thicker fabrics, so you can use those if your steamer allows those options. I don't know the exact link for this one because my brother bought it for me about 3 years ago, but I'll try to find a similar one and link it below. Number 5, hanging. When you're hanging your clothing, be wary of what you're hanging. I don't hang any of my sweaters because when you hang that knit material, it'll actually pull and stretch at the shoulders, and that gives your sweaters what I like to call shoulder nipples. So when possible, fold your sweaters. Number 6, get a small sewing kit. I think the pair of leggings I'm wearing right now is one of the pairs that I actually haven't had to sew a hole up in. So I've sewn holes up in at least 3 pairs of my leggings, and I've had them all for years. If I couldn't manage that tiny stitch by myself, I would have had to get rid of the garment and buy a new pair of leggings. Number 7, sweater shavers. Lastly, for garment care, get one of these. I've heard them called sweater savers, sweater shavers, fabric shavers, and fabric lint removers. Inevitably, even your more quality items are going to pill. I used this on my loft cardigan before filming. I just got it from Amazon and I really wish I had it a long time ago. I had been using a disposable razor on my pants in material that wasn't so stretchy, and I couldn't fix this cardigan before because a razor would have pulled it. Removing pills can bring a garment a new life. Back when I was a sales associate, one manager thought that my favorite slouchy cardigan was so disastrously pilly that she sent an email to the other 3 managers saying that I was banned from wearing it to work. Honestly, in my opinion, it really wasn't that bad, but because I couldn't wear it to work where I spent much of my time, and because I didn't know how to remove the pills myself, I couldn't wear it and I had to get rid of the garment and give it to somebody else. Finally, the garment afterlife. What do you do when you no longer want an item? Well, please don't contribute to the 68 pounds per person statistic that's going for Americans right now, but the garment afterlife looks bleak even when donating. With the overflow of donations, charity shops only shelve 20% of donations they receive. There are some developing countries that buy bundles of secondhand clothing from America, but the sorting companies that sell overseas probably won't want your tattered H&M shirt and it will be thrown in the shredder. So, what can you do with your unwanted garments? Number 1, rags. If it's cotton or another material you can use for cleaning, turn your garment into a rag. Number 2, quilts. If you have a lot of t-shirts from school clubs, sports, and concerts, try turning them into a quilt or send them to a company that does just that. Your t-shirt will have a better life as a quilt because nobody in the thrift store wants your 2002 Youth Soccer League team. Number 3, resale. To make some money, sell to a consignment or secondhand shop like Plato's Closet, but to make more money, try selling on Poshmark, Mercari, or ThredUp, which are all resale apps or websites. And if it's a vintage item, try selling on Etsy. Number 4, clothing swap. To mix fashion and socializing, host a clothing swap with your friends. I did this with a few friends back in high school, so everybody would bring over the clothing they no longer wanted and everybody would leave with something new. Number 5, textile recycling. If none of that works or it's too much effort, take your used clothing at H&M and put it in their textile recycling bin. The catch with this is that they give you a 15% off coupon to use in your next purchase at an H&M store. Beware using this coupon. Use it responsibly if you do use it, but please do not add more irresponsible purchases to the fast fashion cycle. In closing, thank you for watching. I'm not asking you to stop shopping or blow your budget, but if we all make little changes to how we shop, take care of our clothing, and dispose of unwanted garments, we can make our own mark in slowing the vicious cycle that is fast fashion. See ya!